a question here from Jane. Why does moving home take so bloody long? Okay, great question there, Jane. I have to say, this is one of the reasons why we started WiggyWam. Okay, and it was because of, for those of you who don't know my background, let me give you a quick précis. I'd worked in the industry as an estate agent, trained to become a qualified surveyor. And then after I'd qualified, I then went to work with a training organization. I started to build my own property portfolio. And then I worked alongside people like Robbie Fowler, who's the footballer, and Martin Roberts from Homes Under the Hammer, and Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. So we were quite high profile in the industry of training people to build a property portfolio. And as a consequence, we dealt with a lot of estate agents, a lot of solicitors, a lot of buyers and sellers to try and get deals done. And you're right, things were taking far longer than I felt personally was reasonable, bearing in mind that I bought and sold property within days. And that's not just finding the buyer, that's actually being in the cafe, shaking hands on the deal, and then having the money arrive in my bank account. The quickest I've done is 3 days. Okay. Now, that is pretty impressive in the current marketplace. And it got me thinking, why is it that not all sales can be like that, or all purchases can be like that? I've also bought a lot of property at auction. And auction's a great process because if you know what you're doing, okay, and you'll find out more in the book that I'm about to release, which is called Home Buyers Secrets. I'm really excited about that. We've got a whole section on buying at auction. But buying at auction can be a little bit risky, but if you know what you're doing, it's great because you go to the auction, you bid, you make your bid, you get the property, okay, and then you exchange contracts. When the auctioneer's hammer hits, you exchange contracts at that moment in time. And then you've got usually anywhere between 14 to 28 days to then complete the purchase. So it's nice and quick. And I'm thinking, well, why does it take 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 16 weeks or 26 weeks for a normal purchase or sale to go through? And that's what really started us on the track of setting up WiggyWam and working on this idea of cutting out all of the transaction times and really getting them reduced right down to days and weeks rather than months, and so when we stood back and looked at it, what you've got to understand is that there are so many different parties involved for just one person to move house. So you decide that you want to buy a house as a first-time buyer. So you're not reliant upon selling anything. You're just buying one single property. And let's assume that property is empty. So you've got a very short chain. It's just one person and one property involved, okay? So you've then got to go out and get your solicitor. You've then got to get and so the seller's also got to get their solicitor as well. So the buyer's solicitor, the seller's solicitor. You've got the estate agent on the seller's side who's working with you. You've then got to go and speak to your mortgage broker on your side to go and raise the finance there. You've then got to go through the legal legwork of getting that deal through to completion. Then you've got to get the bank involved, whoever's providing your mortgage, and then they've got to agree to get the money through in time to your completion date. And the coordination of all of that is what takes an enormous amount of time. And then you add in a chain where you might have 2 or 3 other properties involved in that chain, all with a separate set of solicitors potentially, all with different estate agents involved, all with different people. And the thing about people is that they can react very differently when they're under stress. Okay, so when things aren't going according to plan, and people get emotionally uptight and anxious about their deal, they want to know when it's going to go through, then you can end up in a situation where irrational emotions take over and people start getting really anxious and they start pulling out of deals, or they start renegotiating, or they say, I'm not going to leave the garden shed now. I want to take that with me because the property I'm moving to hasn't got a garden shed. And you get all of these different variables, and that's what can take so long to try and get the deal through to completion. And what we're championing in the industry is to do a lot of the work almost in reverse. So things like a seller's pack, for example, the WiggyWam seller's pack is absolutely ideal because what's happening is we're gathering all of the information up front that the solicitors need, or shall we say 90% of it, and we're presenting it right at the very start. So any buyer who's looking to buy that property knows exactly what they're getting. They know exactly what fixtures and fittings are being left. They know exactly all about the property. They've got a draft contract. They've got the searches in place. They may even have a condition survey in place so that there's a lot more transparency in the process, rather than, you know, instructing solicitors. You've gone through that hassle of the negotiation to make sure you've got the property, and then you find out 6 weeks later that things weren't quite what you thought they were, right? So the whole idea is doing a lot of the work up front, which is very easy and quick now with technology, and then with all that work done up front, it makes everybody else's life a lot easier as you go through towards exchange of contracts. Okay, so it's fairly innovative what we're actually up to in the industry. Might not sound like it, but I promise you, we're all about reducing that transaction time down. I mean, I would love it to get to a position where you could walk into an estate agent's office and just sign a bit of paper and say, "Yeah, I bought the property," and everything was already done behind the scenes. That's the kind of the vision I'm buying into, and I want to create in the market. Whether it will happen or not, it might just be a pipe dream. It might be a bit of entrepreneurs and unrealism, but we can have hopes and dreams, right? So hopefully that's given you a bit of a comprehensive answer. It is because of all the various different parties involved. And of course, what's also happened in the pandemic is that we've had a very odd situation, which I don't think has ever happened in the property market before. We had the market virtually stop overnight when the pandemic was first announced, and we were all told we had to, you know, live in our houses and be locked down, to then the stamp duty holiday being announced, and the number of transactions that just absolutely took off, and it put everybody in the industry under a lot of pressure and stress. And the key people in the deal of getting it through to completion are the conveyancing solicitors. And a lot of them left the industry because they were absolutely fed up with all the stress and the pressure of trying to get deals through to completion. So we've had a reducing number of conveyancers available, and that has impacted upon the speed at which deals can be done. Okay, and now, of course, a lot of those transactions have gone through. The backlog is starting to clear, but we're still in a situation where there's a shortage of good quality conveyancers in the industry. And I think that's potentially also having an impact. I think things will change because the market is going to go through a period of change, I think, over the course of the next few months. And hopefully, with the innovations that are coming through from, you know, people like WiggyWam and others in the marketplace, we'll be able to concertina that moving house timeframe and get things done in a lot faster fashion. So hopefully that's been of use to you there, Jane, and thank you for the question. Hopefully that's been of interest, guys. I should apologize that I get very excited talking about this sort of thing. So I do tend to talk a bit quickly and get trip myself up sometimes a little bit as we're going through, but I love it. I'm really appreciative of you guys submitting your questions. I hope to be able to continue to do these long into the future. So please submit your questions on the WiggyWam website, or send them through to me on email. That email again, happy to help at wiggywam.co.uk. And also you can go to our WiggyWam website, which is wiggywam.co.uk. And then you can join very quickly on the web, on the platform by clicking on the user profile for a expert user, and then going through the sign up process there, and then you'll get access to some more video content, which is all about the home buying and selling journey and what you can learn about how to speed that up. We've also got some pretty cool announcements coming next week, which I'm excited to share with you. So yeah, tune in next week if you want to know more about what we're up to behind the scenes. It's a fascinating time to be in the property world, and I'm really excited that a lot of things that we've been working hard on over the course of the last couple of years, and my team have been instrumental in delivering these great results. We're super excited because we know what we can achieve when we all start working together. So yeah, we're excited to unveil those, and really looking forward to working with you in the not too distant future. So thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been amazing to share some time with you today. Thank you for your attention, and I will look forward to reading and answering your questions again very soon. So I'll say goodnight to you, and thank you so much, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.